Dawn comes with a promise of another beautiful day in the old bush valley. But it wasn't that way just a few short weeks ago when the Wallow fire was racing towards Alpine and our cabin. Fortunately, the only part of the property that was even affected by the fire was a tiny bit of grass burned across the highway, across Highway 181. We had heard from several people the cabin was okay, but everybody wanted to come up and make sure everything was okay. So on the 4th of July, we're finally able to come up and take a look at the cabin. And other than a fine coat of ash covering everything, the cabin looks good. The boat is in good shape and ready to go, even though Luna Lake, I think, was almost drained dry by the helicopters sucking up water to dump on the fire. Big Lake looks like a moonscape. Of course, the Black River is full of ash. Halsey Reservoir was completely burned over. And Nelson, I'm not sure about. We might be able to go fishing at Nelson. This is the site of the new cabin that we're going to start building any day now. We're just waiting for construction to start. It was delayed a couple of weeks by the fire, but everything looks good for the start of construction. We had participated with the Forest Service program a few years ago for thinning out these smaller trees, and many people think that that's what saved Alpine. Because the forest was less dense around Alpine, the fire didn't burn through the crowns of the trees, but instead burned along the forest floor, where it did less damage. To show how close the fire got, this is the entrance to our property off of Highway 191, and I'm actually standing on the other side of the highway, and you can see the fire burned right down to the highway. And this fence is actually our property line, so you can see the fire did actually burn right onto our property. And amazingly enough, even though so you see blackened trees and the floor of the forest burned, on the other side of the other side of the highway there's a cabin, again, that is untouched even though the fire burned around it. I'm on Highway 191, just south of Alpine, about a mile from our cabin. Way in the distance you can see Luna Lake, where the helicopters were sucking up water to dump on the fire. And as I look around, you can see the area that we call Indian Hill, which has been burned over. And all of the area south of Alpine has been burned. See if I can zoom in on this. And then looking up the highway, again you can see areas that have been heavily burned. The sign speaks for itself. This is the area just to the west of Alpine, the ridge above Alpine that we call the South Mountain, where the TV tower is. Now it contains the cell towers for the telephone, and those were wiped out temporarily, causing loss of cell phone communication during the early days of the fire. This is a panorama taken from the tackle shop looking north of Alpine on the road to Big Lake and coming around the South Mountain. Entire ridge. Now we're looking west of Alpine, the entire ridge burned. So Alpine is basically an island of green in a sea of black. And here's the real heroes of the fire. Guys that worked so hard to save so many people's homes and property. Alpine Fire Department. We love them.